Welcome to Dispatch, the weekly show designed to keep you on track as you build and operate your layout. I'm Roy Smith, your dispatcher. Thank you for joining me tonight. Coming up on tonight's show, your layout photos, the question of the week, your comments, and a big shout out. The studio audience has already arrived, and they seem to be especially rowdy tonight because they have been waiting a long time for the show to begin.
Hey, let's get started.
All right, calm down. We're starting right now. First, in case you don't already know, I returned from a 5-week trip to the States last Wednesday night. On Saturday, I uploaded my first video after returning. That video contains an overview of my railroad and model railroad activities during the trip. I'll put a link to it down below. I want you to go over and watch the video after dispatch ends tonight. It was a wonderful trip. I spent a week in Virginia where my adult children live at the beginning of the trip, 3 weeks in Pennsylvania where my mother lives, and another week back in Virginia at the end of the trip. I especially enjoyed meeting so many of you during the trip. Tom Kvichak of Tom's Trains and Things was the first person I met in Scranton, Pennsylvania, as soon as I arrived there at the hotel for the Steamtown get-together. And there was a big unexpected surprise at the end of my time in Pennsylvania. I encountered Tom again at the Strasburg Railroad in Strasburg, Pennsylvania. I met many of you along the way during the trip, and each encounter was special because model railroaders are my best friends in the whole world. Before going on the trip, I preloaded some train watching videos on this channel for publication on Saturday mornings while I was gone. But I wasn't able to upload my regular videos during the trip, including this show, Dispatch, but now I'm back and it's time for me to get back to work on the layout and video making. And I'd like to thank all of you for sticking with me while I was traveling. Now then, first up on the show tonight, your layout photos. Each week I invite you to post your layout photos on a Facebook page called the N-Scale Union Pacific Evanston Subdivision Group. And each week, many of you do just that. Then I bring your photos over here to Dispatch. So once again, I have a bunch of layout photos to share with you tonight, and here they are. I want you to continue to post your layout photos at the Facebook group. As always, I will bring them over here to Dispatch so that we can all enjoy them. I will put the link down below that will take you to the group. When you see this photo of Echo Canyon on my layout, you'll know you're at the right place. Go ahead and join the group and post a photo of your layout there. Next up on tonight's show, the question of the week. I didn't post a question of the week in the last episode of Dispatch before going on my trip, but in that episode, I did suggest that you post a question of the week in the comments that I could ask on this segment of the show upon returning from my trip. Many of you responded, and I picked one of your questions to ask tonight. The question I picked was suggested by City Assembled, and here is the question he suggested. Where did you build your layout? In your basement, a spare room, the garage, the attic, a shed, somewhere else? Where did you build it? I want you to post your answers to this question in the comments down below. I will share the results of this question in next week's episode of Dispatch. Remember, the question is, where did you build your layout? And if you have a question that you haven't asked yet, or if you would like to ask another question, go ahead and put it in the comments section down below. Remember, most of us have had questions along the way in the hobby, and most of the time our friends in the hobby have been able to answer our questions. And now it's time for your comments. As I said a moment ago, I uploaded a video to this channel called Railroads and Model Railroads this past Saturday. In the video, I provided an overview of my activities during my 5-week trip to the States. Let's take a look at a clip from that video. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. As always, when I travel to the States, I like to include as many railroad and model railroad activities in my itinerary as I can. My recent trip was no exception. This video provides an overview of my activities during the trip. In upcoming videos, I will share some of these activities with you in greater detail. All right, let's get started. On May 18th, I spent the day with a whole bunch of model railroad and YouTube friends at Steamtown in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Many of you posted comments in response to the video. Here's what a couple of you had to say. Rich Files wrote, "Welcome back. It must be good to be home again. Glad you enjoyed yourself." Rich, my wife and I had a wonderful trip, and it's always fun to travel to the States where there are so many model railroaders, train clubs, train stores, and train shows. I look forward to every trip for that reason. Now, of course, I'm back in Panama where there are none of those things, and it's time for me to get back to work. The layout and the videos are waiting for me. Bill Christian wrote, "Roy, it was nice meeting you at the Hudson Model Railroad Club. We're looking forward to seeing your video from your visit. Please stop by and see us again next time you're in the area." Thanks so much, Bill. It was wonderful to meet you and other members of the club. I am so grateful that the club opened its doors for the Steamtown Get-Together group. We had a wonderful time. The club's layout is positively awesome. I certainly hope to come back and visit again in the future. And Chris Mitchell wrote, "Welcome back, Roy. I hope you know how lucky you are to have a wife who lets you drag her around the world looking at trains." You're right, Chris. I am a very lucky guy. My wife isn't a model railroader, but she does tolerate my passion for the hobby and accompanies me during my many model railroad activities. And now it's time for tonight's big shout out. And tonight's shout out goes to Vigman 13 and his Willow Creek Railroad. The Willow Creek Railroad is a 411 square foot HO scale model railroad set in the early 1950s during the transition from steam to diesel locomotives. You'll especially like the videos on this channel if you enjoy operations. Let's take a look at the layout.
The Willow Creek is a medium-sized HO scale model railroad. If you haven't already viewed our layout tour and operations video, I highly recommend that you do. Today's video will highlight enhancements made to the layout since that earlier video was made, and then we'll talk about current operations on the layout. With the addition of the Spokane staging yard, the Willow Creek is now 411 square feet in size. During operations, the layout supports 6 positions: yard masters at Waverly and Bucky's Crossing, 3 road engineers, and dispatcher.
Okay, you've seen the amazing Willow Creek Railroad right here on Dispatch. Now I want you to go over to the channel and check it out for yourself. I'll put a link down below that will take you there. Be sure to subscribe while you're there and tell them Roy Smith sent you. Well, that just about concludes tonight's show. Remember, I normally upload 2 videos each week. Dispatch on Tuesday nights, in which I get to interact with you and which you are watching right now, and a layout update on Saturday mornings in which I show you what I'm doing on my layout. However, for the next couple of Saturday mornings, I want to show you the things I did during my trip in greater detail instead, and we'll come back to the layout updates after that. Of course, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell icon so that you get notified of new uploads. I don't want you to miss any of them. Thanks again for joining me tonight here on Dispatch. Until next time, happy railroading. I'm Roy Smith, and I will see you again very soon. All right, everyone, you can leave now.
Heck no, we won't go.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.